Hello everyone, how are we all doing today? It's really awesome getting to see everyone in this wonderful room for the day. So I don't plan to waste so much time. We have quite a number of sessions packaged for you all today. But in hosting this room, or I would say yes, the room too, I also have a co-host. Hello, Nicole. How are you doing today?
Hello, Promise. I'm doing well. It's nice to finally, have this day that we've been expecting.
Awesome,
Promises to be exciting. Hello, everybody.
awesome, awesome. All right. Maybe what we should do is we should do a quick introduction of ourselves.
Mm-hmm,
You can also drop in the chat. If you're
mm-hmm,
watching us, you can drop in the chat where you're joining us from, right? Just a quick
mm-hmm.
introduction. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe let me start with mine. I am Promise Uche Omachku. I'm one of the leaders for the AWS user group West Africa. And of course, this is our Able Community Day. And I would be your co-host or your co-moderator for this particular room for today. And with me is
Hello, everybody. I am Adeyemi Nicole. It's nice to be here. I'm also AWS solution architect. I've been in tech for roughly 5 years. It's very nice to meet you. I also am the technical writer. I help to implement solutions and also bring up new tech that are, you know, starting out in tech space, especially in the cloud DevOps field. So, say hello everybody. I can see you, Charles, Tutu, Larry.
yes,
Welcome
yes,
everybody. Welcome.
yeah. Don't there's one say that says don't catch fire. What a wonderful name.
Yes.
What a wonderful name. Right, right. Okay. I
Mm,
know we have spent some time from what when we were supposed to start, but I think we would go ahead to just give a brief intro of the topic, and my colleague here would go ahead to read out the profile of our wonderful speaker for the day. So in case you don't know, the topic we're going to be having is called the theme for this whole community day is the AI driven enterprise operations, and we are going to be speaking on the topic strategic AI adoption for scalable enterprise operations, navigating trade-offs in costs, latency, and controls. And our speaker for today is going to be none other than Ujunwa Njoku Sophia. Yes, so my colleague now would help us with I would say introducing her properly. So go on.
yeah. So, the speaker for today, like mentioned by Promise, is Ujunwa Njoku. So she's popularly known as Techie Nurse, and she's a passionate LLM engineer who has transitioned from a strong foundation in DevOps engineering with a background as a registered nurse. She brings a unique perspective to the AI field. She's passionate about the intersection of machine learning, natural language processing, that's NLP, and AI driven automation. Ujunwa has hands on experience with large language models, prompt engineering, and open source AI framework. She's dedicated to continuous learning. Ujunwa actively participates and shares knowledge through tech talk and video content. So this is also for people that didn't have a tech background. See Ujunwa here, in DevOps space. And so over to you. I think we're going to.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Nicole. I think it's time to actually bring our awesome speaker
Yeah,
on stage. Uh,
taking us.
yeah, hello, John. How you doing?
Hi, Promise. Good evening. I'm good, and you?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. In fact, I've been kind of looking forward to this wonderful session you have for us today. I have my book and my paper here, and I'm just listening to learn as much as I can. And Nicole, any final words before we leave the stage for Ujunwa?
Nah, but let us all be present. Get your notes, get your iPads, get your laptops, and tune in because Juma is about to impact to us. Yes.
All
Over to
right
you.
then. Okay, I think at this time we'll be leaving the room for Ujunwa to proceed with her session. Awesome.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Promise and Nicole, for that wonderful welcome. So, first of all, I would like to say a big thank you to the organizers for putting together this wonderful event. And also, thank you all for being here today. So, just like the theme of this year AWS Community Day, it says AI driven enterprise operation. And we know right now AI is currently the buzzword we have right now. So this event cannot be, it's one of the best things we have right now going on. I mean, if you look around you, AI is writing how businesses work, how decisions are being made, even how we think about productivity. AI is making our life a bit easier and faster. So sorry, let me get my slide. I know you might have seen something like this everywhere, like AI will solve everything, or some things like AI will probably take your jobs, stuff like that. And I think there was one morning I went to LinkedIn and it just felt like everybody was an AI expert. I mean, everybody was almost all the companies were now asking AI-driven company. Everybody was talking about how they build a website with AI, how their chatbots can answer their customers' question, how they integrated AI to their workflow and all. And the hype is really real. And seriously, I get it. I get the hype because AI is doing a whole lot than we expected in the past. AI can do a lot right now. AI can give us so many solutions. But even with that solutions AI provide for us, there are some certain decisions we have to take before we integrate AI into our enterprise. If you're using AI, maybe let me say in your personal projects, let's come back to your personal projects. You might not know it, but you're spending some money, maybe through your API calls, or if you're hosting your own open source model on a cloud provider, you pay for it. Latency too is involved. You don't know how fast AI is giving you responses, how slow the responses are, and all of that. And also, whether you're using a closed or open model, all these things we take all these things are what we are using whenever we are running AI with our personal project or maybe on production, but we don't really know that these are decisions that we need to take if we want to get a strategic adoption with AI. Right now, everybody's talking about AI adoption. What's the big thing you can build with AI? How you can build a website within minutes, how you can generate a video content that looks so much like human, how you can generate ideas and all of that. But only few people are talking about how you can strategically adopt AI, especially in your enterprise. Maybe your personal project, you might not really think about it because you might be the only user that is running, maybe you're running it on a local machine, you might basically be the only user. But when it comes to enterprise, where you might have thousands of people using that particular application, you don't just integrate AI into that workflow. You have to consider so many factors. You have to consider so many things before you integrate AI in your enterprise. So today we are going to be talking about, and that's what lands me to my topic, strategic AI adoption for scalable enterprise operations, navigating trade-offs in cost, latency, and control. And today we're going to be talking about the three major trade-off. I know there are a lot of trade-off when you're trying to integrate AI into your enterprise or into your workflow. But today we are going to be talking about the three major trade-off, which is cost, latency, and control. Now, first of all, we are going to be starting. Okay, before we go into those trade-off, we all use AI in our projects. Not all of us, but not all the time, but most of the time. I mean, sometimes you need a quick answer and you go to ChatGPT and tell, oh, what's this? And it will give you an answer. Sometimes you need You need to build something, and you go and bring up that AI agent that builds a website, and you just run some few prompts and it just gives you a response. But behind those responses AI is giving to you, behind those API calls you're making lies those bills, maybe naira or dollar bills that you'll be paying for those API calls or those prompts that you're asking, you're requesting from the AI. So today we are going to be taking this trade-off one after the other. Oh, so these are the three trade-offs you're going to be talking about: cost, latency, and control. So we're going to be talking about how do you choose when you're running an enterprise? How do you actually choose between cost, latency, and control? Is it that easy for you to merge, get the three of them when you're integrating with AI? Or will you forfeit one and choose two, or forfeit two and choose one? Or can you get the three of them when integrating AI to your workflow or in your enterprise? So first, let's start with costs. Now, money is one aspect that I know a lot of people like. A lot of people love hearing about it, but when it comes to you bringing it out from your pocket, is a whole lot. So money is one. Cost is actually one aspect you have to look at when trying to integrate AI into your workflow. So I remember when GPT-5 came out, right? Everybody was like, oh, GPT-5 is out. Oh, I experimented with this and it was this, it was that. It's more than GPT-4, it's more than GPT-3. It's given a lot of reasonable answers. And that's actually true because GPT-5 was trained with more data than GPT-4, GPT-3. So I know with GPT-5 being other mighty than GPT-4 and GPT-3, people will be tempted to integrate it into their workflow so that they can get the best out of their AI workflow or out of their AI being integrated in the enterprise. But most of the time, you might not even actually need GPT-5 or the highest model out there. Let me take, for example, if you're trying to do a to-do task, or you're trying to do a task that can generate a report or write an email for your employees and all of that. If you look at it, GPT-4 or 3 can actually do most of, like, it can do a job that will be good enough for that task. You might not necessarily need GPT-5. But because of the hype around, this model is out, it came out yesterday, all these marketing buzz around all these models, I know a lot of young people will be tempted, or enterprises will be tempted to integrate these new models into their workflow. But you might not actually need it. And where cost comes in now is that if you use a bigger model for a small task, you'll actually be paying more higher than you'll be paying if you be using a smaller model for a smaller tax. So most times I tell people this: bigger is not always the best, right? Bigger is not always the best. You just have to look at your workflow and see, okay, this is where we need bigger model. This one, we don't really need it. Cut it off, use a smaller model. This is just one way you can use to reduce cost in your enterprise. So if you're trying to integrate AI in your enterprise, or if you already have AI in your enterprise or your workflow, ask yourself this one question today. The models that I'm using to run all these specific tasks, are they actually the model that fits it? Is there a place where I can actually cut down the size of the model, maybe say go from bigger to smaller, and I'll still get a good enough result, a result that can still be like, oh yeah, I mean, this is okay. You must not use the latest model. You must not use the model with the biggest parameter. Just any model that suits that task, use it. So don't really go with the hype. Rather go with the right size of the model for the right task. Now, this is just an illustration of when you use GPT-4 to do a to-do task. It's just like using this big hammer to hit this small nail. Oh, come on now. You might just need a smaller hammer, but because of the hype, because you're hearing people saying, this is doing this is doing that, you can carry something that is bigger than the problem and use it to solve that problem. So that's one of the things you have to look at before deciding to integrate AI into your enterprise. So now that we've looked at costs, the next thing, okay, before we go to latency, I also want to include this. I know most companies are trying to call themselves AI-driven company and all. But some of the things they try to integrate AI into doesn't actually need AI. It might just be a simple automation script that might solve that situation. But because they want to brag with AI, we now have AI running in our enterprise and all, to integrate AI into that workflow. But AI basically is not needed there. You just need maybe a simple script or something, and you get the job done. So that's also one way of cutting costs. Look at what value is AI actually bringing here. If the value is something that a simple automation script can solve, scrape it out. You don't need to bring in more costs to your workflow when you can easily do it with smaller things, or when you can easily do it with easier things that can save some cash for you. So that's also one way of saving cost when integrating AI into your workflow. Now, another one is latency. So if you're typing, maybe you're asking ChatGPT for something, there's something it always shows on the screen before it gives you a response. Something like thinking, a write-up that shows that it's actually processing that information, and maybe within seconds the information is up for you, right? If you're, let me say, if you have there's this AI tool that people normally use in meetings, so it kind of generates summary of the meetings and send it to their email. So things for that tool, I think it takes few minutes or so before you can see the summary of the meeting in your email. Now, this brings me to what this latency trade-off. What I'm trying to say here now is latency is actually how slow or fast you get your response. Now, for that report, it's not really a do or die affair. It's not something that you're actually in a hurry to get immediately. Like, it's not something you need a milliseconds response. So you can actually wait for just a few seconds to get your response. Something like that as an enterprise, you might say, okay, this task doesn't need low latency. Yeah, we can actually meet in the middle ground. It doesn't need that low latency. So our users can actually wait for a few minutes or few seconds before they can get their reports and the report. So something like that, you can just say, let's go for the low latency, maybe things like report, bad jobs and all. But if it comes to a fraud detection system, you can't, in fact, low latency should be your priority. It should be one of your business priority, because any delay in those responses can actually affect the transaction, right? So low latency should actually be one of the priority. So when you're trying to integrate AI into your enterprise or into your workflow, you also have to look at latency. Is this task something that can wait later? Or is it something that needs a milliseconds response? If it's something that can wait later, something that our users can actually wait for like few minutes or few seconds, then don't prioritize latency over the others. But if it's something that your users needs immediate response, they need response in milliseconds, then you need to prioritize latency. So that's where latency comes in when making a decision with integrating AI into your workflow. So this is just an example of when you have a car and you have a jet. Let me say you're going from mainland to island, you have a jet, you have a car. Something like that, you don't really need to use a jet to go from mainland to island. You can actually use a car to go from mainland to island. Jet is not really required. But if it's something like you're going from, let me say, Lagos to Imo State, come on, you always prefer using that private jet to using a car. So you also have to look at the two situations, what your task or what your workflow needs. Does this actually need a low latency? Does it actually need a high latency? So depending on what the task needs, you cannot say, okay, yeah, I think we should prioritize latency, or we should not. So that's also one way of making decisions when integrating AI into your workflow. Now, for the third one, we have control. There are a lot of AI providers out there, just like we have cloud providers. There are a lot of AI providers out there. Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, there are a lot of AI providers out there. And most of them are open source, most of them are closed. Sorry, open source, most of them are closed model, right? Now, if you're a startup that don't really need, that does not have too much problem with data compliance and all of that, and you're just starting up, you don't need to start deploying your own model in your own server or in a cloud provider. You don't need to start going through that hassle of deploying your own model from scratch, fine-tuning it and all of that. You can just use a closed model because control is not really your priority. I mean, you're not dealing with people's data. You're not, maybe if you're not a fintech or people in finance or people in healthcare, control might not really be your priority, especially as a startup. Instead of dealing with the hassle of bringing up an infrastructure, deploying your model, looking at the inference time and all of that, you can just choose a closed model provider, something like OpenAI, and just be making open API calls, making calls from their API, whatever. Then instead of deploying your model from scratch, but if you're a fintech or a health tech company, something that you know that yes, data should not be in a third party. Data should not be somewhere across the ocean. The data should be safe with you guys. Then you should consider, no, we really need our own control. We need to be able to control whatever data we are giving to this AI. So something like that, you have to go to use an open source model, install it, then run your own stuff on your infrastructure and all. But if your enterprise does not require something like that, then no need of inconveniencing yourself, running infrastructure from scratch, deploying your own model from scratch, handling the networking, the data, the storage, everything that comes with running an AI model. You don't need to worry yourself about all those things. You can just go to an AI provider, pay, I think they pay per API calls and all, and run your stuff. I don't need to be worrying about all those hassles that someone that is using open source models will be doing. But for someone that is in fields that needs compliance, yes, you actually need your own control. So this is one of the things you actually look at before we say, yes, we are integrating AI into our workflow. You have to consider the cost, you have to consider the control, the latency, and you have to consider the control. Now, this is another example, control versus convenience. I mean, for control, you can just sit at the car and someone, for convenience, you can just sit at the back of the car and someone is driving you. You're not worrying about, is this driver blocking me? Is Lagos driver pushing me here? You're not worried about that. So you're just sitting at the back of the car comfortably, taking your AC. But for control, you really want to be shouting at the driver. You really want to be worrying about all the other things that are needed to handle the car. But you're doing this, why? Because you actually need to be in charge. You actually need to take accountability. You actually need to safeguard the data of your patient or your users. Oh, sorry, it's too light here. So you actually need to take accountability and safeguard the data of your patient and your users. So this is also one of the things you have to look at when integrating AI to workflow. Control, cost, latency, and control. Now, these are 3 questions you ask when making the decision of integrating AI to your workflow. 1, what problem are we solving, and is AI the best way? So most people don't even ask this question. Immediately they hear that AI hype, AI is doing this, AI is doing that. Boom, next meeting, we're integrating AI to this, we're integrating AI to that. But you might not actually be needing AI. You might not. You might actually be doing, your automation scripts can actually do the work that you want to go and pay AI to come and do for you. You might actually not be needing it. So before you integrate AI to that workflow, you have to ask yourself this: what value is AI bringing to this decision I'm making? Is AI actually solving a real problem? Or is it creating another new problem for us? So this is one question you have to ask. Then two, what speed actually, okay, sorry, I made a mistake here. It's supposed to be, would speed actually matters here? So looking at this, I give example of reports and let me say fraud detection system. For reports, speed might not really matter. Your users can wait few seconds, they can wait few minutes and get their reports. But something like you're doing transfer, no, latency, low latency is actually required, like milliseconds response is needed. So this is one of the things you also have to ask yourself before integrating AI to your workflow. Another one is, what risk are we comfortable with? If you're comfortable with the fact that your data is out there across the oceans in another person's server, then you don't need to bother yourself about, I need to install my own AI. I need to run my own AI. I need to deploy it. I need to fine tune it and all of that. Just go and take from all these closed models and make API calls from them. But if your enterprise requires you to have the data of your users with you, not a third party, then you have to make sure that you are actually in control of that, of those users' data. And that will require you doing what? Running your own AI models on your own infrastructure. So these are true questions you will have to ask to guide your AI decisions when integrating AI to your workflow. Now, let me give you two use cases. We have a banking and we have a logistics use case. So for a bank, I said this fraud detection, you have to run it in milliseconds. So this one, they need control. So they need low latency. It's a priority for them. Regulation demands strict control. So they also need control. They need to have control over whatever data they are giving to AI. And they accepted higher costs for safety and compliance. So for this banking enterprise, for this banking company now, their trade-off, they choose latency, low latency, control over costs. They're ready to pay higher costs to make sure that their business priorities are being met. But for a logistics company, it should be a totally different ballgame. Now, for a logistics company, they don't actually need that much speed. They can actually batch process. So low latency is not a priority for them. It's a nice to have, but it's not something that they really require. Like, it's not a must to have for them. And they can also sacrifice speed and control, but they want to save big time on expenses. So for them, their own major priority is the cost. We don't want something that you will bring it to us how much every month to pay. No. Remove scrape up control, scrape off low latency, save cost for us. So these two are different companies. But if they decide to hop into AI trend without looking at all these decisions, they might actually be running at a loss. For logistics, they might actually be having higher costs than they expected. And for banking, they might actually not have full control over their data, or they might not actually get low latency. Their latency might be running so high. So if they look at it at the same level, they might actually be running at a loss. So what they have to do, they have to look at, okay, what and what do we actually need? And what is it just a nice to have for us? So their business priorities differ. So should their adoption with AI be different? Now, AI adoption is a balancing act, right? AI adoption, it doesn't have one formula. We can't say, okay, because these people are saving costs, let's save costs too. Because these people are using closed model, let's use closed model too. No. You have to look at your business priority before deciding, do we actually need this AI? Okay, yes, we need it. Now, what is our priority with this AI? Is it closed? Is it open model? Okay, fine. We're going for close. Good. Do we actually need low latency or high latency? What does the task require? The task requires, the task can actually require both low and high. It's just on the middle. Okay, fine. What about the cost? Are we going for open? Are we going for close? Can we afford deploying our own AI model on a cloud provider, how many users do we have that we need to go and start deploying our own model instead of just making API calls to all these AI providers? Looking at these things, you now answer the question and I know, okay, yes, this is actually what we need. And this is actually what we want. So the want is just the nice to have. Why the need is the necessary, the one that it is actually necessary for the business priority. So don't just jump on AI trend. Just bring in your enterprise into this AI trend because of the hype and all, without looking at the back-end decisions of this integrating AI into your workflow. You have to look at all this. There's still a lot of trade-off, but these are the three major trade-offs you have to look at before taking the decision of, okay, yes, this is how we are going about this AI integration and adoption into our enterprise. Thank you, everyone. So if you have a question, you can drop on the chat and yeah. Promise, are you there?
Awesome. That was actually an interesting session, Ujunwa. Now I guess it will be time for the, I will say, participants. If you have any questions, please can you ask? Yes, thank you very much, Bashirat Karim. Yes, I think it was actually an awesome session. Thank you very much, Kuye Hassan. Yes, I think that was actually awesome as well. Hello to Godfrey. How are you doing? Thank you also for paying much attention. So now, guys, do you have any questions for Ujunwa? Do you have any questions for Ujunwa right now? Please let us know if you do. Before we introduce the next speaker for the session. Yes, awesome, so interesting. Abimbola, yes, I think I agree with you. It's interesting, enlightening, yes, and succinct and educative. True, I agree on that. Thank you so much.
Very, very interesting. I actually resonated with the fact when
Yeah,
she mentioned that if you
I
are
also
not big
agree
on
with
your
that
privacy,
too.
you don't have to start setting up your own AI tool
Yeah,
and all of that. You can just use the existing one, right?
awesome.
The trade-off is very, very important, those things. So if you have questions, please let's drop them, right, so that we can answer the questions we're here for. I hope you guys also had a very exciting session. And please don't go yet. Do not leave. We still have another session coming up, right? We have
So
an exciting speaker for us.
I think
So please do
William
not
says
leave.
he has a question. William,
Okay.
can you paste your question? I think. Oh, we don't catch fire says he has a random question. Okay, so don't catch fire and William. How do you choose the type of an AI LLM based on latency? All right, so that's the question from Mayo Wafa Jugbe. How do you choose the type of an AI LLM based on latency? Do you have any answers for this?
Okay, so for latency, actually, I think all of the models actually have the way they respond to per milliseconds, or how long they take to give a response. So you also have to go and read up their, let's say, their documentation and or see which one actually suits you for your task. Then when it also comes down to open source models, the one you're actually hosting on your machine, you're actually the one in charge of the latency. Actually the one in charge of building the latency aspects of that model, right? And also know that the bigger the model, a bit slower, not really that slower, a bit slower the response will be compared to a smaller model. So that's just it.
True. Thank you very much for that. I think we have two more questions, and after that, we would have to move on to the next session. So I have a question also from William, and he says, you spoke about not building your own AI, but what solution does AWS provide for AI solution integration, small scale or large scale?
Okay, so AWS has this service they call Bedrock. So if you're looking at integrating AI to your workflow, you can go check it out, right? It has a lot of foundational models that you can use to integrate to your workflow. So that's one service I love so much in AWS that you can use when integrating solutions, AI solutions.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much for that. So the last question we'll be taking for this session is from Don't Catch Fire. I don't know his real name or her real name. And she says, what if you use AI to determine if you really, really need AI for your business use case when you are not totally sure about it?
You
So,
shouldn't
what do
actually
you think
be
about that
needing.
scenario? Like using
Okay.
AI to determine if you really do need AI for your business use case?
Yeah. You shouldn't actually be looking at AI to make such decisions because sometimes AI can actually hallucinate. AI can actually lie to you. You have to look at your business and see you are the one to make that human judgment to see, yes, do we need AI or we do not need AI? AI might tell you, yes, you need AI. And if you look at it, you don't actually need it. So you have to use your human judgment to look at your business priority and say, yes, we need AI or no, we don't need it. Then you scrape it out.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Ujunwa. I think at this point in time, we'd like to say thank you so much, Ujunwa. It was really, really an awesome session. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, in
Yeah.
case you also want to follow Ujunwa, you can also check her out on LinkedIn. Ujunwa Njoku is her name. All right. So, at this point in time, I'll say bye bye, Ujunwa. Thank you.
Bye, Ujunwa. Thank you
All
for
right.
joining us and impacting such wonderful sessions.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, Nicole, what do you have for us? Who is our next speaker, and what do you have to say about him
Okay,
or her?
so our next speaker is a guy. His name is Ayomide Odukoya. He's a senior security engineer at Resilient Inc. So he's going to be taking enforcing AI compliance in enterprise environment using guardrails on AWS. So I'm going to give it to Promise to just help us read out his profile, let us know more about him before he comes up and give us an impacting session. Over to you, Promise.
Awesome, awesome. So, just like my colleague and my co-host has said, Nicole, Ayomide is one interesting guy, and for those of you who did follow our sessions, you'll know that Ayomide had a session with us also last year where he spoke about an interesting topic as well. So, and Ayomide is a security engineer with over 4 years of experience, specializing in application security, cloud security, and DevSecOps. He is also he has also designed and implemented security measures for various organizations, ensuring data and application protection. His expertise includes securing cloud infrastructures and integrating security practices into development workflows, as well as he holds his education in AWS security specialty. He's also an AWS community builder in the security category. He also loves to listen to podcasts when he's not securing applications. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I think is now time to actually to welcome Ayomide on stage. Hello, Ayomide. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. Hi, Promise. Hi, Nico. Thanks for the introduction.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Nico, any final words before we give Ayomide the stage?
No, no final word. I know that every viewer here is really, really excited and they cannot wait to hear what he has to say. So, over to you, Ayomide.
Awesome. All
All
right, over
right.
to you, Ayomide.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. I'm sure we've all been having an awesome day today already. Today I'll just be talking about enforcing AI compliance in enterprise environments using guardrails on AWS. My name is Ayomide Odukoya. I'm a senior security engineer at Resland. And we're just going to be talking about how enterprise organizations can ensure that AI compliance is enforced across their entire environment, across their entire landscape and estate using solutions such as Amazon Bedrock Guardrails. And why is this topic important is because, as we know, across the world today, AI adoption is growing rapidly. I mean, Ujunwa spoke about that. And we know from McKinsey's report, 78% of companies across the world are adopting AI or exploring the use of AI. However, with the increase of AI adoption across the world, is also the increase of the concerns. Out of these 78% of companies, Deloitte did a report where they said 72% of executives are talking about how data privacy and compliance is a major concern for them. So yes, we're using AI, but we want to ensure that, oh yes, we are compliant with the specific regulations such as GDPR. I mean, in Nigeria, we have NDPR, and ensuring that, oh yes, if our use of AI aligns with these regulations, and also ensuring that, oh yes, we're using our customers' information and leveraging AI in a really secure way. So we're not just spewing out information, right? And this is important because, as we know, enterprises face a lot of risks over the year. We've seen a lot of information where a lot of organizations, a lot of big top firms have had issues with AI already. Recently, there was one where one of the top firms, top auditing firms, had an issue with the Australian government where they went ahead to do some audit reports for them, and they leveraged AI. And in the use of leveraging AI, there was some misinformation. I mean, I think Ujunwa mentioned about AI hallucination. So there was hallucination, AI hallucinated, brought out some misinformation, and this affected the report that they gave to the Australian government. The Australian government got the report and said, oh no, this is wrong, based off our own information. And they had to find that particular auditing firm, over $400,000 for that particular issue, and they said they're going to enforce strict laws. And see, these are some of the kind of issues that organizations are already facing, right? From data privacy breaches where sensitive data is exposed to prompt injection attacks where, malicious attackers are trying to trick AI models into revealing sensitive information or revealing restricted data, or toxic AI outputs where AI models are kind of spewing harmful or malicious information, right? Or hate kind of sensitive information, hate content, right? Brand reputation is being damaged. This happened with some top organizations recently, and even over the years when it comes to the use of AI. Or I think with compliance, right? Compliance adoption. There's the EU AI Act that has just been recently pushed over the years. And a lot of companies are struggling to kind of align and ensure that, oh, their use of AI aligns with the EU AI Act, and that's in Europe. And there's GDPR, there's NDPR, there's ISO 42001. That's the AI management framework from ISO. Companies are trying to implement these particular frameworks and say, oh, how can we align our use of AI? Yes, we want to use AI, but we don't just want to use it. We're enterprise organizations. We want to ensure that everything we're doing, right, aligns with compliance, regulation, and things like that. And also there's the operational and reputational issues, like I mentioned, where customer trust can be eroded, and just with hallucination, right? For example, customer trust can be eroded if you put out the wrong information out there on the internet using AI models or using AI to do particular analysis, right? And this is where AI guardrails kind of come in. And just what are guardrails? If you're gonna ask yourself, like, what are guardrails? Why are they useful, right? And I always say, oh, think of guardrails as configurable policies, right? And I'm sure we already have policies, especially in the AWS world, right? We're used to IAM policies and things like that, right? So think of guardrails, especially AWS Bedrock Guardrails, think of them as configurable policies that kind of define safe and acceptable AI behavior, right? And think of them as policies that kind of control what your model can or cannot do, right? What your model can say, what it can do, and how they kind of work is through filtering, right? So there are core functions, AI guardrails core functions is input filtering, output moderation, right? And it's in the sense that you're passing your information. So there's like a user prompt. I mean, if you're using your AI models, I'm sure most of us here have used like ChatGPT. So you type in your question, passing your user prompt to the AI model. But before the information, your prompt gets to the AI model, there's a kind of layer where the guardrail stays in. So there's the input filter layer where the guardrail is, and it checks in your prompts, right, for malicious information, for sensitive information, kind of checks based off your policies that you've configured, and then says, okay, this is what is safe based off the policy, and it passes it to the AI model. The AI model can then work on it, right? And then the AI model passes out the response, right? And the filter or the guardrail is also there, checking the response from the AI model and saying, oh, is this also the response from this AI model? Does it align with what they've already configured in our policies? And then okay, if it does align, if it doesn't block this response from going back to the user, or if it does, okay, allow it to go out. So that's like kind of the core function of AI guardrails, and they're really useful in the world of AI, especially when you're building with AI, right? And what is the goal of AI guardrails? Basically, the goal is just to ensure that, you have safe and compliant AI adoption, right? And in Amazon, for example, guardrails are built in such a way that they are built into your model pipeline. So it's not like kind of separate from your model pipeline. Even in the Amazon Bedrock service, if you're using the management console, you see that it's built into the service page, right? You can just use it, and we'll do that in a demo. Like I have a demo session, we'll go over that. But it's built in such a way that you can just leverage guardrails even as you're building your AI models or you're integrating with your AI models, right? As we know, in Amazon Bedrock, you can leverage different types of AI models, different type of foundational models, from Anthropic to Amazon's own Nova to Llama, to a lot of AI models, right? And guardrails kind of just help you ensure that as you're integrating with these models, you're doing them in a safe and compliant manner, right? So as I mentioned, guardrails kind of also act as a sort of additional layer, right? I already spoke about that. They act as a sort of an additional safety layer, right, beyond what models do natively. For example, Amazon kind of focus on building responsible AI. So for Amazon Nova, that's Amazon's own foundational model. They ensure that, oh yes, our model is about responsible in its operations, right? That is the foundational model. But guardrails kind of acts as an additional safety layer where, even if the model misbehaves, right, we have another safety layer that kind of catches any sort of misinformation from this particular AI model, right? It also works on blocking inappropriate content. It prevents sensitive information exposure. Also ensures that your model behavior aligns with the policies that you've configured, organizational policies, right? And in AWS, it's such a thing of where you define the boundaries once you configure the policies, and then Bedrock kind of just enforces them automatically, right? And how does like guardrails, AWS Bedrock guardrails, how do they work? That's a key question to ask. And you say, would go into the demo where I would set up a guardrail and policy, but kind of just before we go into that, as I mentioned, there's the input check stage where the model kind of validates the user prompt, checks the user prompt based off the configurable policies, and then you can either redact information. So maybe there's some sensitive information in the user prompt that you're passing to your AI model, and you don't want that sensitive information to go to the AI model, right? You can redact that information using guardrails, or you can just block that information, right? Oh, I don't want sensitive information to go. We don't want PII to go to the AI models. We don't want to pass off our customers' information to the AI models. We want to block such prompts, right? Especially in a day and age where employees of enterprises are using there's the term called shadow AI, right, where they're passing off information just anyhow to AI models, especially third-party provider models, right? You want to block such kind of information from going out, you can do that with guardrails, right? Or you want to just redact or anonymize such information, you can do that. Or is there a malicious prompt coming in, maybe, or there's a malicious user who's trying to gain some kind of information from your AI model. You're an organization, you're building more AI models, you're building your own AI models, right, with your own data, training the AI models on your data. There's this malicious user who wants to understand how your AI model works, understand, wants to gain some restricted information on the sensitive information you're training your AI models with. And using Guardrails, you can block such malicious prompts from going in, or it could even just be hate information. Maybe someone wants to ask the AI such just a very random question that isn't nice, right? You can block such information from going into the AI model, right? Using the input check or the input filter or the prompt filter, right? There's then the next stage is the model execution, where the Guardrails then pass off this particular things to the particular prompt that has been approved by the Guardrails to your models. So the foundational models, either Anthropic Claude or Amazon's Nova or whatever model you're using or integrating with, it does that. Then there is the output moderation stage, like I mentioned, where it does the same thing it does on the input stage, but now from the model response side. Oh, so now your model has worked on this information. Now it's produced a response. Is this response, does it align with what we want in our organization? Does it align with maybe it could even just be we are an organization in the financial industry. We don't want our models to be giving response such as who's the best footballer in the world. We want to just stick to financial information, right? Yes, you can do that with AI guardrails, or you don't want your I'll just stick to financial industry for now, right? You're in the financial industry. You don't want your AI model to give responses such as, oh, this is what you should invest in, right? You want to restrict such kind of information. You can do that with guardrails, right? And also there's audit logging kind of built into, I'll say, Amazon Bedrock as a whole, right? Where once you turn on invocation logging, your events are being stored in login tools such as CloudWatch or even S3, right? And so events such as blocked events by guardrails or flagged events can be stored, right? Even, and that's useful, right, from an enterprise perspective, right? Because of, oh, you're trying to present auditability, maybe you're having audits coming up, or it could be internal audits or external audits. You need such kind of information. You can do that leveraging guardrails and even Amazon Bedrock as a whole, right? And just to go into, just show us kind of real time how can we leverage guardrails, right? And I've been talking about financial industry, right, because of the demo I'm trying to do within the financial industry. And in this demo, we're just gonna we're gonna assume a role of, and we're gonna assume a role of a financial analyst, right? So you're a financial analyst, you're trying to do you're a financial analyst, you're trying to analyze customer information, so financial information, um, bank statement, right? But you don't want this particular financial information or the customer sensitive information to be passed up to the AI model. So I'm a financial analyst. Let me say my name is Bob, financial analyst named Bob, working, I'm trying to analyze this particular customer's bank statement for a week, right? And I'm trying to use an AI model to do this analysis. I don't want to do it myself, right? And I want to pass it off to my AI model to work on, but I don't want to pass off sensitive information, PII, to this AI model to use or to have that information to store, to train itself on, right? Due to compliance laws, right? GDPR, NPR, you don't want to violate such regulation, right? So how can you do this leveraging guardrails? And I'll just go ahead and share my screen just a bit so we see how we can do that real quick. So I'll share just a minute. All right, I guess my screen is coming up.
Ayomide, your screen is on stage.
Okay, it's on stage. All right. Just wanted to confirm. All right, so this
Sorry,
is,
did you share a separate screen aside the slide?
yes, I did. Yes, I'm sharing my screen.
Okay, I don't see that screen. Oh, Okay, hold on. I think I would do this, and I would do this.
All
This
right,
is your screen,
awesome.
right?
Yes, it
Awesome.
is.
Okay,
Awesome. All
cool.
right, so let's just get into this. So this is how the guardrails page looks in Amazon. So this is how it looks. So when it comes to setting up Amazon Guardrails, right? There, I mean, we can just go ahead and set it up. I can walk through the process of setting it up, but because of time, I'll just walk through how that can be done with this one I already set up. So this particular guardrail, like I said, is specifically for PI reduction, right? And that's something that we need to know when we're setting up Amazon guardrails. That you should set up Amazon guardrails for specific tasks, right? I mean, we could set it up and it could do a lot of things, right? It could block a lot of information, but I would say when it comes to best practice and setting up Amazon guardrails, you should set it up to do specific tasks. So this particular guardrail has been set up to do specifically PII reduction, right? And how does that work? What does that mean, right? So, like I mentioned, guardrails can be used to set to block a lot of things from harmful content. So here we can see harmful categories. This is you can block hate filters, so you can block hate speech on the prompt filter, that's on the input, and even on the response, the model response, insult filter, a lot of things. You can block malicious prompts. I just disabled it because I'm not using it for this particular scenario. You can deny topics, right? Like I mentioned, if you want to do financial information only, I don't want to talk about health, I don't want to talk about sports, I just want financial information, I could deny all the topics that I don't want to, right? To my AI model to talk about and just leave it to the one I wanted to work on, right? I could deny specific words, specific profane words, or even just specific custom words, right? And here is what I was talking about, the sensitive information. So this particular guardrail has been set up for to redact sensitive information, right? And sensitive information in this particular scenario is PII, such as name, email address, credit card number, debit card number, phone numbers, usernames, right? And also, you can do something in Amazon Guardrails, which I think is really awesome, right? Is where you can create your own regex patterns to block your own specific type of information, right? So, in Guardrails, right, you have specific PII types that are already built in. So, if you can see my screen, you can see address, age, their finance information, CVV. There's the IT, IPv4. There's the USA specific stuff. There's Canadian specific stuff. There's UK specific stuff. But what if you're trying to do something that's not part of the built-in PII types, right? I want to block bank account numbers. I want to block Nigerian bank account numbers, right? And they follow a specific pattern type that's not built into Amazon Guardrails. You can do that with regex patterns, and I will show that very soon. And what this is doing in the console is saying, oh, if you see this particular PII as a part of the user input, right? The user prompt, mask it. And masking is just, redacts that information, anonymize that information such that it is not passed to the AI model, right? So that information is masked and it's redacted so that the AI model doesn't know what that is, right? So for email, for credit card number, for phone number, for username. And then on the output, if there is a situation where maybe for some reason that information was passed to the AI model, but you don't want that information from the AI model being passed to, maybe you're passing it off to a third-party service or you're passing it off somewhere else, right? You could also anonymize that information, right? There's also the fact of, you can just block it. Or once you see name as a part of the user prompt, right? Or let's not use name. Let's say once you see credit card number as a part of the user prompt, just block it. Don't let that particular prompt get to the AI model. For masking, what would happen is that it will be sent to the AI model. However, the information would be redacted. It would be replaced with an identifier such as name. So the model doesn't know what that is specifically, right? So that's just kind of what it does here. And as I mentioned, there's the regex pattern. So because I'm in the financial industry, I also want to block bank account numbers. I also want to block BVN information, right? So this is the regex pattern. So if you see 10 digits, right, lined up together, mask that information. If you see BVN, I mean, Nigerian BVN is bank verification number is 11 digits, mask that information so that it doesn't go to the AI model. Or if it for some scenario, it also goes to the AI model, mask it on response, right? The model response such that it's not passed off to the user or to the third-party service, right? There's also contextual grounding, and what this particularly deals with is AI hallucination, right? But as I mentioned earlier, when you're building your guardrails, you should stay specific to what you want that guardrail to do, because that kind of balances off when it comes to costs, right, in AWS. So this is the information. So let's just think of these as user prompts, a user screen, right? This is the screen that the financial analyst is going to put in the customer's account statement. So we can see account number, account name, BVN, phone numbers. This is the email. This is the transactions, right, for this particular week in the month of September. So let's just go ahead and run this. Also, I run this. I send this off to the guardrails, and would get a response soon. All right. So response from the from AWS, from Amazon, right? So redacted information. So this is the weekly financial report. I mean, it still went ahead and did the work, but now the account holder's name has been anonymized. The account number has been anonymized, the BVN, the phone number. So the AI model went to work on this particular information, but didn't see any of all of these items here. All of these PII were masked so that the AI model couldn't see that particular information. So we can get the transaction summary. It analyzes the spending by category without even, I mean, you can see this anonymized account number. So here we see that there was a bank transfer to this particular account number, but this was redacted also, right? And there's also this information where there was a bank transfer from this particular account number. This was also redacted. And this just kind of shows us how guardrails can be really useful even to enterprises, right? And that kind of just shows us how it can be done, right? And then I'll just wait for my screen to come up. I promise you can just bring up my slides back.
All right. Okay. Doing that right away. I think you would need to reshare the slide because what I have is still your screen. So can you reshare your, yeah, what I have is this, which is,
all right, thank you so
this
much.
your
So that
slide?
just kind of shows us how guardrails work real time, right?
Okay.
And how we can work in an enterprise environment, right, in financial industry. So how does this align back with AI compliance, right? When it comes to GDPR, right? Sensitive information is something that GDPR or PII is something that GDPR kind of deals with seriously, right? So when you're doing something with guardrails, right, that can block or detect PII from being leaked, or sent to your AI model, you kind of comply with GDPR on that. I mean, for ISO 42001, you can enforce policy-based access or monitoring of data using guardrails, right? Even for the NIST AI risk management framework, which is more or less just like an operationalizing framework, right? Using guardrails kind of helps you comply with that also. And just even responsible AI principles, right? Preventing AI bias, preventing toxicity from AI, or just even unsafe usage of AI models, right? Guardrails kind of help you comply with that as an organization, right? And as I mentioned, when it comes to best practices, from just experiences that I've seen and I've heard from people that have used AI guardrails, Amazon Bedrock guardrails, one of the things you should do is just define your guardrail policies as code, right? And that's just what I mean by that is version control them. Even from within your Amazon management console, you would see that when it comes to Amazon Bedrock, there's already versioning for your guardrails. But if you're trying to deploy this maybe across different environments, maybe you have different accounts and different environments, and you want to deploy the policies across these different environments, you could version control them and treat them as code, and it could help out when you're deploying with IAC, right? Also, when it comes to testing out or ensuring that yes, your guardrails align or enforce AI compliance, right, is that you ensure that you regularly test your guardrails with adversarial prompts, right? So maybe you enabled the prompt filter for malicious attacks, ensure that, oh yes, this aligns with adversarial prompt. This is properly tested, right, against adversarial prompts. Test it yourself, right? Also, like I showed, right, combine these built-in filters with custom rules, right, for domain specific needs. So financial sector, you can custom the built-in PII with your own regex patterns for your own specific information. Maybe you're in another industry, maybe health, right? You could do something like that. Just combining it and the built-in filters within the guardrails and even your own custom rules kind of gives you the best part of how of Amazon Bedrock guardrails, right? And pitfalls that I've seen people suffer from, I've even experienced myself, is guardrails can be overly strict sometimes, right? And if you kind of just turn on everything, then it can block legitimate use cases, right? So if you just say, oh, this would be nice, or this would be nice, or this would be nice, turn on hate filters, turn on this filter, turn on that filter, right? And I would also, that's why I would always recommend, create guardrails per your specific task, right? So you want to do PI reduction, just do PI reduction. You want to block malicious attacks, do malicious attacks, right? And that also kind of helps balance out with costs, right? Also, something I've seen people suffer from is relying only on predefined categories, right? And when you do that, there are blind spots that maybe attackers can take advantage of or things like that, right? And also, some people might just forget to turn on invocation login, right? So you're using your guard, you're using your, and I'll say just for AI models generally, you're using your models in Amazon, but you didn't turn on model invocation login. You're not logging in your model, like the invocation, you're not logging in or how these models are being interacted with. It's harder to prove compliance, right, during audits if you don't log these things, right? And I would say organizational benefits that I've seen organizations benefit from when it comes to guardrails is it helps in reducing regulatory and legal exposure, right? For example, with that particular big top four firm, right, that had the issue with the Australian government, if they had maybe if they had contextual grounding on and with their AI model, right, it would have helped out in things like that. But you see, that's why we need to turn these things on. Also, it increases your customers' trust even in AI-powered services. And when I talk about customers, I'm not just talking about external customers. I'm also talking about internal employees. So maybe you're in the engineering department and in building some AI solution, right, for someone in another department. Maybe it's the marketing department, right? It increases trust in these AI-powered solutions. Also, it helps to accelerate safe AI innovation, and safe is the key word there, helping accelerating safe AI innovation. Also in providing audit-ready logs for regulators and even internal compliance teams, right? As mentioned this already, and it enables Gen AI adoption without business risk. Once you know that, you've set up guardrails, you've tuned them properly, now you can just maybe, grant AI model to everyone. I'm sure a lot of companies are always scared. If we grant these AI models to people within our organization, we don't want them going off and doing everything and anything with our AI models. No, we want them to do specific things, domain specific things, right? If you tune your guardrails properly, it can help with that. It can help with the growing adoption of Gen AI even within your organization, right? And I'll just say finally, right, key takeaways from leveraging guardrails would be: one, see guardrails not as blockers but as enablers, right? See them in that, they help you build AI solutions safely. They help you move or innovate faster, quickly, right? Also, leverage the tools that AWS already provides when it comes to governance tools, right? Turn on login, leverage the PII solutions. Also, enterprises must align AI usage with compliance frameworks, right? As we continue to grow in AI adoption, we continue to see more domain specific regulations, right? We'll begin to see more domain-specific regulations for AI compliance, right? As an enterprise organization, you must ensure that your usage aligns with these compliance frameworks. And I'll say finally, start small, scale responsibly. So start using your guardrails small in specific scenarios, and then begin to scale them even as you get used to them, right? And that's just it. Thank you so much for this time. We're sure you've learned a thing or two on how to enforce AI compliance within your organization.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much, Ayomide, for this awesome session. Of course, with an awesome session comes questions, right? And I do have a couple of questions here from some of our amazing attendees, right? So Yes, let's get to see some of these questions. Okay, so I think the first one we have here is this from Basirat Karim, and her question is AI guardrail also an AI tool? Is it like AI checking AI?
Very interesting
That,
question.
Yeah,
that's
it
an
is.
interesting question. Um, I would say from what we can see with Amazon, right? They might be leveraging some sort of AI in the terms of tuning their guardrails filtering, but not necessarily an AI tool. It's not an AI model doing the work. No. But I'll say maybe when it comes to tuning how the guardrails work, yes, there is some sort of AI working there, but it's a standalone service that is separate from the foundational models themselves.
Awesome. So Basirat Karim, look at it as just a service, AWS service running, that it's able to do all of the functionalities AWS wants it to do. Right. So thank you very much for that. Awesome speaker. So Nicole, do you want to take on the next question? Hello, Nicole. Do you want to ask the next question, or I should go ahead? All right. Okay. Maybe I should go ahead then. So I have another
Give
question
AI
here
different
from Don't
personalities.
Catch Fire. And his question is, so do guardrails give AI different personalities?
That's it. Personality is an interesting word. I would say they kind of just help in containing your AI models to do specific things. So think of them as boundaries, like they kind of create like boundaries for your AI models, right? So I wouldn't say personalities in that sense. I would say they just think of them as boundaries. So they help put your AI models within particular boundaries. That's what I would say.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Nicole, you want to
Very.
pick on another question?
Can you guys hear me? So, he mentioned that there was a similar question that we missed, right? I think it's also very similar. It said, are the guardrails rule based or another AI model from Olubenga Solomon? I think we missed that question. The
Oh,
guardrails
okay.
rule based or another AI models?
Oh, okay. Yes. From what we can see, right, they're rule based in the sense of the you can set up filters. You can go in and like be like, oh, I want to do this particular PII type for reduction, or I want to deny this particular word, particular topic, right? But I would say also just to be there's some certain level of I'll say tuning when it comes to leveraging AI with the service, but they're not AI models. Just to answer your question, they're rule based, and that's just to answer your question. But I would just say like with the tuning, that's where the AI kind of comes in for guardrails.
Awesome. Okay. I think we'll take on one more question. And after that, we will proceed to the last session for today. And I think we'll be taking a question also from Olubenga Solomon Falodun. He says, instead of denying certain topics, which could be inexhaustive, can we rather allow certain topics only?
Oh, so that's a great question. And I maybe I wish I had shown that. So in AWS, it's not just denying top. So when you deny topics, uh, when you say, oh, you want to deny a particular topic, it's they ask you to give like a phrase where you're not just denying just a keyword in that sense, but like a phrase. So you describe what you want to deny. And then that's why I said the AI tuning goes into work where, oh, based off the phrase you say you want to deny. So maybe, oh, I want to deny giving investment advice. That's like a phrase, right? And then the Gadro kind of understands that okay, any sort of investment, be it Nigerian investment, maybe it's stock exchange or this or the NYSE stock exchange, any sort of investment advice, right? It kind of blocks that. So it's sort of like phrases, right? And then you can also suggest 5 additional phrases per topic or per topic that you want to deny. So that would help.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I think I see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we went through this, but maybe we should actually take on this one question, which I would say, let me just make this one the last. And generally, is from Abola Ayobami, right? He says, when guardrail blocks a query, right, what level of explainability do we get? Is it just a blocked response, or can we get a log stating which guardrail fired and with what confidence?
Okay, so I'll say there are two ways. So from the user's view, right? So let's say I'm a user, I'm using the information, I send off, Guardrail has been configured, I send off the user prompt, then Guardrail blocks this particular query. Within the Amazon Bedrock Guardrails console, right, you can set off particular responses. So you're the one that can go in and say, oh, I want this particular response to set in, such that this is what the user would see if this was blocked, right? But when it comes to like the log side of things now, right, and you're trying to store the logs, as I said, you can store logs in CloudWatch and S3, and what you're storing is the entire model invocation logs, right? So the entire model invocation, or what AI model was interacted with, what guardrail was blocked, like what guardrail was part of this model invocation, what. So it goes deep into detail because I mean it's logging. That's all of this information together. So I'll say there's what the user would see, but there's also what the logs would show, which are kind of two different things. And I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I think that was actually an interesting session. And that will be the last question for this particular session. Thank you so much, Ayomide. It was
Thank you
really,
so
really
much. It
great
was really
having
wonderful.
you on stage today. All right.
Yeah.
We would proceed over to the next session, right? So for this last session of the day, we have an interesting speaker who is going to be doing justice for us. I think, hand it. Okay, let me start the intro, and my colleague or my co-host Nico will proceed. All right, for
Yeah.
this section, we have an amazing speaker who will be speaking on secure by design, leveraging AI for proactive threat detection in DevOps pipeline. Right, his name is none other than Abdulrahman Jimoh, right? So Abdulrahman is also a senior DevOps engineer at Simfix, and he's going to be taking us on this awesome topic. So I will leave it up to my colleague to give us further details on Abdulrahman.
All right. Thank you very much, Promise. Thank you. So, Abdurrahman is a senior DevOps engineer at Simfix. He's a cloud engineer with over 5x of hands-on experience in DevOps and site reliability engineering. He has proven track record of designing secure, scalable, and cost-efficient cloud infrastructures, building robust CI/CD pipelines, and driving automation to accelerate software delivery. In addition to leading DevOps teams at Simfix, he excels at building internal tools that enhance developers' experience and optimizing systems for high availability, observability, and operational excellence. When he's not solving infrastructure challenges, he enjoys exploring new tech trends and contributing to cloud native community. Let's welcome Abdulrahman Jimoh as he take a session.
Awesome. Hello, Abdulrahman. How are you doing today?
Hi everyone. Good
Hello,
evening, good
Abdulrahman.
morning, good
Welcome,
afternoon.
welcome, welcome. Let's welcome
Awesome.
him, guys.
Yeah, I think this is really, really an awesome topic, and we would actually love to hear this session. So, you
Most
can
definitely.
proceed by sharing your slide on your screen, and then we'll hand the stage over to you.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. All
Okay.
right. So
Good evening, everyone.
we'll go on
Morning,
backstage then.
night. Depending on your time zone. So I am Abdulrahman Jimoh, as the host has mentioned, and I'm happy to be here speaking on this topic. Secure by design, leveraging on AI for proactive threat detection in DevOps pipeline. Right. So, why does this topic matters? Because today we all know that things are cloud native, DevOps pipeline are moving so fast, and the same as the environment or the technology are moving fast. So as attackers too are also innovating, leveraging AIs to exploit or find vulnerability in our system, or even some tools that we are using, like your Jenkins, maybe your package that you are the package that you download while building your application. So this is one of the reasons why this topic is important. The second reason is the traditional way of checking or scanning our application can no longer keep track of what we have today, and we need to shift to the left, and then by ensuring that we are considering security at every stages of our pipelines. So this will enable us to build and deploy faster, improve our accuracy, and also improve our workflow automation, and then have a predictive analytics. So the challenge today, right? Most of the challenge today is one looking at speed, velocity versus security paradox. So, most organization, I might be wrong, right? But I know most organizations have come across, right? They do more of manual checks on their application, right? And they take security checks in their pipeline to the right instead of taking it to the left, right? Doing that exposes us to more vulnerability, and also make our workflow signal security conscious. So, and most time they come as afterthoughts. Even some people don't even check it, and afterthought. Oh, before we go live, let's quickly scan the application. It's an afterthought for them. They don't put in security checks from their sprint planning. Security checks to start from your sprint plan. As you are planning your sprint, you should also be planning your how you want to go about security in your environment. So it also, another challenge we have today is alert fatigue. Right, that if we consider security as an afterthought, right, most of these alert security scan results will become so much that we won't be able to even triage or prioritize what to do, because it will be so cumbersome, because we are not taking it from the left, we are taking it from the right. So it costs that as well. So as we are writing our code, so as we are also planning our security. So we need to move security at the speed of the code, and not after we've deployed the application. So say, for example, if in fintech organization, not putting in all those checks, from even right before the code leaves the developer work environment to the remote Git repository, to your building stage, your shipping to your image, your container, image registry, to the environment. So if you are not putting all those checks in there, by chance, maybe a developer will have, maybe when he's doing his dev texting, and he had coded one of the API keys or some card details, and then push to the public repository, and by chance, an attacker attack the system of one of the maintainers, let's say one of the developer in the environment. The system was attacked, and they're able to get access, because some people are saying, but our repository is private now. Yes, your repository can be private, and attacker can still attack your GitHub repository by getting those keys, right? The attacker attacks one of the developers' system, able to get the GitHub and GitHub repository or Bitbucket repository credentials, or maybe token, post your image, and reading your code base, and found your env file on your repository. The next thing is, he has, at least you have aided him to get at least maybe 25, if not 50% of the task that he needs to doing brute force attack or some other exploitation to get those details. You have made this work so easy for him. So this is the reason why we have to, as we are writing our code, we are also putting those locks to ensure that we are not leaving any door unlocked. So securing by design and the AI-driven shift, right? So like the first speaker said, see AI as your security co-pilot, right? Always on and always learning, right? Security, the AI is just to enable you secure your code more intelligently from the left, right? And protecting your pipeline early from the CI/CD workflow, and also proactively threat modeling, right? Your AI learn normal behaviors for your environment and detect deviation between before they started impacting you, right? So on the first one, intelligently protected your code, right? One, scanning for any form of your SAS, that is a static code analysis, to check your code base, check for some stuff, if there are open API keys open. So this AI can help you check and send you an alert. There are some tools like Sync, Codacy, and there are other tools that are AI embedded that can help you cache all these things within your workflow. And there are also some threat modeling AI tool as well, which can also run your DAS for you and check for anomalies in your application. So, and also automate your vigilance. So like the first speaker said, we need AI model, right, to automate scanning, policy enforcement, and one-time monitoring. Right, it now depends on your organization. You might want to use the open, the public AI model, like open third party. Don't let me say public, third party AI models rather, like OpenAI, Gemini, and other AI organization models, right? Or you want to create your own in-house, a custom model, right, internally, that helps you do these scans in your environment. So that is preference, and the first speaker have done justice to that area. So it depends on which of them you are taking, right? So we have to, AI can also help you in your code scanning, in also enforcing policies, and then one-time monitoring, right? So predictive insights, Elasticsearch as a tool, AI Elasticsearch as AI assistant. So it does this predictive insight analysis. It anticipates attack before the application. Can analyze your historic telemetries, right? The behavior of the system, and if there's any anomaly within any time, it can quickly alert you. And then if you have a runbook or a Lambda function, it can also trigger a Lambda function to run some predictive automation or prevention mechanism you have in place. Another tool that also does that is Amazon Guard Duty. So Amazon Guard Duty also, once activated, it can continuously analyze your environment, your setup, then intelligently detect any threat, right? And take action as well. So depending on whatever action you want it to take, either figure in a Lambda function or have a script you want to run to remediate such attack. So, and also an adaptive defense. So a system that's evolved or also learn from the new threat that emerges in the ecosystem. So for each environment, right, there are different tools that you can use. Not all of them are AI that has AI capability, but majority of them has. Like Git leak does not have AI. It's not AI embedded. It's just using normal Git regex. So for each of your CI/CD pipeline stages, right, you want to put in some checks at each stage, and this is what we meant by AI by this security by design. By putting those checks, before it even gets to where the application is running, right? From the developer's laptop, you've started running your checks, right? And each stage of your software development life cycle, you are actively or proactively checking for any form of vulnerability, any loophole that can open your application for easy exploitation, or even it might not be easy, it might be any form of exploitation, and you want to block those loopholes before it becomes a serious issue. And it's not just organizational reputation issue. It can be financial. It can also financial implication. Just imagine a fintech organization getting hacked, and other thousands of users ask their money in their wallet, and all the money has been wiped up. So the bank has to start engaging their insurance to look for how to even sort the customer affairs, right? And one, it has financial implication, and two, it will damage the company's organizational reputation. So you don't joke with security, right? As a DevOps engineer, as you are building those pipelines, each stages, you are also actively staying security conscious to ensure that you are not leaving any loophole. And you can never be too careful as well, but at least you try your best to ensure your system is highly secure. And from the first stage, right, is pre-commit hook. Right, for in the pre-commit hook, where that is before the developer even commits the code, right, you run some checks, right? So and tools that you can use to run this scan, checking for sensitive data, static linting, and checking for credentials. You are checking for if there is certificate, your SSH certificate. If you are maybe let's say for example you need to pass in some certificates in the repo, so you are not pushing that certificate in plain text to the repository, right? There are a lot of tools that you can use to encrypt those files. Say for example your Kubernetes secret manifest. Secret manifest, right? The secrets are not encrypted, they are encoded, meaning that if you push your secret without encrypting it, I can pick the data, decrypt it using my base 64, and get my decode it and get your plain text secret, right? But there are tools that can help you encrypt this secret file, like SOAP, that is secret operators. You can use there's an open source application called open seal secret. So that seal secret also helps you encode your secret. So meaning you can safely push your secrets on GitHub. And before anybody can decrypt it, that means the person must have the key, the public key to decrypt that encrypted file, right? So some of the tools that you can use at this stage, although you can also use Sync at this stage. Sync to add some as a pre-hook tool, right? But the popular one you say is the Talisman, Git Leaks, Git Guardian. So this Git Guardian will even message you if it, after scanning your commit, and message that you push a key, and also advise you on some remediation process you can take after you mistakenly push your secret to the internet. So we have on the code commit too. So when you eventually commit your code, so one of the things you want to do is run static application security testing. You want to run the static software composition analysis, and also if it's your infrastructure as a code file, like your Terraform code or your CDK code, you want to also run infrastructure as code scanning. So we have a lot of tools that you can leverage for this. I think personally I use Sync, and I also use Codacy, but AWS has AWS Code Guru Reviewer that does those review for you. We have SonarQube. We have the Quit AI, we have Sync code, and also the Codacy, like I mentioned. So this helps you check this and also provides feedback based on the results. And if they are nothing, if it might even it go as far as also scanning for sync. I think sync go as far as scanning for supply chain risk analysis, that is on the build stage, also checking for your license compliance checks, and also container image scanning, right? So we have the acquired, they have their acquired security, you have the 3V, you have sync, and AWS inspector can also be used for this use case. For the test stage, when you are testing the application, we don't just leave it to just testing the functionality test, doing the smoke test, on every other kind of test. You also want to do your DAX, that is dynamic application security testing, right? Test for security, test for injection testing, that is SQL and SSS. And also, you also checking your business logics, and also for your chaotic testing as well. So we have Codacy can be used for this use case. Veracode, a lot of fintech makes of this Veracode, and the HCL AppScan. This AppScan tool also does all these tests, which test and then gives you feedback based on the results. So this test does not end at that stage. When you're also deploying your application, so you want to also check for configuration, cloud security posture management, policy as code enforcement. So you want to for any form of misconfiguration or most of the threats that happens on production are most of the time might not even be because there's a leak of API or API key or whatever secret that you mistakenly leaked. Majority of them are coming from configuration mismanagement. So that is where Prisma Cloud, as in Prisma Cloud, it has AI capability. It's a very, very good tool that I've used. And also this Kubescape, if you are running your application in a Kubernetes environment. So Kubescape can do the job for you as well, right? Moving to the next stage where we are, that is operate, when the application is running. You want to leverage AI in this space. And I've mentioned some tools that does this, right? We have Elasticsearch AI assistance, Guard Duty, we have CloudStrike, and Security Hub, that is AWS Security Hub. So all these tools can help you check for any behavioral analysis detection or runtime threat detection, right? AWS Guard Duty does this as in efficiently, right? It continuously analyze your environment and intelligently detect any form of threat. Also, Elasticsearch AI Assistant. Elasticsearch AI Assistant too has this capability of monitoring, just checking any change in any behavior, in terms of maybe what is it called, DOS, right, or any form of attack in your environment. So Elasticsearch AI Assistant, it has an AI model that intelligently detects if there are threats or incoming threats. So it detects it and send you a feedback. Not just sending you feedback, it can automatically run any form of prevention mechanism you have in place, like maybe triggering a script or a Lambda function or whatever function you want to trigger to remediate that threat that has been detected. And also for monitoring and response. So during the stage of monitoring your environment, so you have threat intelligence aggregators, right, that you can deploy in your environment. Datadog has this, which they call Datadog security monitoring, and also AI Elasticsearch AI assistance to function in that regard too. So it does like a threat modeling, right, to also prevent your app from being attacked or for any form of threat or vulnerability that any attacker might want to exploit in your environment. Right. So, how does this AI threaten? How does AI threaten DevSecOps? One, with predictive failure analysis. So, AI has this capability of identifying weak points before it becomes a chaos. Right. It helps reduce risk. Right. And also reduce noise. right? And also for faster innovation, right? And two, in testing, AI, there are AI models, right, that you can adopt. You can write your own custom AI model that you can adopt to, test your application, right? The kind of automated testing, right? And prioritize. You can also model it to prioritize some kind of test cases depending on your environment. All this does not. There is no preference, so it depends on your environment. You look into your environment and say, okay, what are the things that we want to test in our environment, and what are the things we want to prioritize in our testing. So depending on the kind of environment you are working, right? So you want to leverage AI in your testing, right? So doing that test, it's not just doing your test, your functionality test, doing only some small tests. It's also checking the logs, right? For any form of vulnerability, maybe in your log, you are even exposing um, 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 card details or some secret in your logs, which supposed not to even make it to you. If at all you want to even log it, you should max them so that it won't come out as a plain text. But some developers, maybe they forget or something or something whatsoever, right? They mistakenly log those things on the logs, right? But if you have an AI model that is helping you run your test, right, it can automatically flag that as okay, that during the test, these are part of the thing we observe. So you are not just looking at the functionality of the app alone when testing. You're also looking for loopholes that can be exploited in the environment. So threat intelligence correlations. So AI will integrate the field across AWS and other open source tools. So it will integrate all those fields and then analyze it, then give you suggestion on how or automatically run some preventive mechanism you've put in place, faster remediation, right? Like I said, let's say for example, we are running a financial app and we are expected to be running available 24/7, right? And is your security engineer is in Nigeria and right 10 p.m. Nigeria is already in bed sleeping, and a user in the US which is starts around 2 p.m. or 2 p.m. or whatever time is it in the US at that time, is trying to access the app, and there's an attack on that user, and the user is trying to reach your support and other. So AI, if you have an AI automated system, AI model, an AI model can detect that attack, right, based on what you've written, how you model your AI, right, to detect such attack, and then put a place. Maybe you want to lock the account from performing any transaction or place an embargo on it, or so just any form of preventive mechanism you want to put in place, right? Why the engineer is still sleeping, AI has done the job of preventing a widespread attack, right? But now imagine you don't have any form of preventive mechanism in place. This will become a widespread issue that all maybe not just one user will be affected, maybe all your user base will be affected, right? But if you leverage an AI with other automation tool, AI detects that and triggers that your automation tool to prevent that incident from happening or becoming a widespread fire across your user base, right? And also collaborative culture. So AI, most of these AI tools has a dashboard where you can collaborate. The developer and the DevOps engineer or the operations can collaborate. They are no longer, and also the security, they are no longer working in silos. So they can collaborate and look at which of these from the feedback, what they need to do to better secure or fasten any form of vulnerability in the environment, or what needs to be done to better secure the environment, or what needs to be done to guide the user on how to stay secured while using the application, right? So, right, most of the time there are no best practice. Like there is just matter of trade-off, right, on your own use case. But if you want to implement this, it all comes. Most of these tools, right, they don't come free. Like the Elasticsearch AI assistant, it doesn't come free. You have to be on. You have to be on the premium version before you can access the AI assistant. Also, the gratuity is not free. You pay for most of these tools before it was Sync and Sonar Cube. They are not. They don't come free. You know, it comes with a cost. So, for as an organization, you want to start small, right? It will start with the one that is not AI, that does not have AI capability, like your Git leak, to even do some small checks, right? And then you start to advance, right, in terms of how financial buoyant the organization is, to be able to leverage on these tools, because like I said, they don't come free, right? So you want to integrate them, right? And you are integrating and not replacing, right? You still have your Jenkins, you still have your other pipeline running. And you are just integrating these AI capability tools to help you run some checks at each stage of these tools, right? Your Jenkins is still there, your Git code pipeline is still there, your GitLab is still there, your GitHub action is still there. You are only integrating, you are not replacing them. And also prioritizing with context. So AI will also help you prioritize, right? Yeah, some of these AI even do the triaging for you and then implement any form of solution based on how you've configured. Some of them you want to put human in the middle, whereby it spots it, raise an alarm, human comes in and address those issues. Why some you want to leave it purely for AI, which is kind of really risky in some context, right? You still want human to come in and analyze it further. If you know AI can hallucinate or even trigger a false alert, right? And also in terms of compliance, right? You want to leverage AI to ensure that your your config, right, is highly compliant. So that's why you have AWS config and security leverage with security up. So it helps you ensure your enforce your compliance as code, right? And the last but not the least is continuous learning, right? AI models needs learning, and as keeps using it, keeps at new use cases are coming up, new threats are coming up, right? The AI tool needs to learn all those threats and new use cases that are coming up to better help perform its duty and also serve you better. Right. So the major challenge and their mitigation while using AI, I've mentioned one, right? False positive, right? AI can, let's say for example, you are leveraging AI for your code review, right? And the developer has written a very good code. Then AI is flagging something which the code is clean, perfect, and to the concept context of what the developer is trying to solve. The code is clean and good to go. But AI is flagging the code base. Maybe the AI might be hallucinating, maybe the AI might not even have full context to what the developer is trying to solve, but you've integrated AI code review, right? So you need a human in the loop to some human intelligence to also come in and second eye to review what AI is providing for you. Because sometimes AI tool makes mistakes, right? AI tool is not perfect. It's a model that needs continuous training, right? So, but to ensure that um it's not raising some false positive, right? You also need human to also come in to check. But there are some cases where you might not need a second level check where a human has to come in and check, right? So for that case, it does the, it's an alert and then automatically triggers a remediation. So two, data quality and bias. AI can be biased, and the quality of data AI is returning might be might not uh, it might not be solid, right? So those data needs validation from multiple sources, and also you also need to feed it with diverse information as well. So AI can be biased and also can return some false poor quality data. And the last but not least is model drift, right? Um, with training, we need to train your AI model, right, to periodically to keep it operational, right? So most of this AI, if you are leveraging some of these third party to like Elasticsearch, if you are not using your own custom models, right, Elasticsearch is already doing those heavy lifting for you, trying to retrain the AI to ensure that it's always operational and giving you reasonable data in return, and not an unbiased data, and not always wasting false positive. You know what Elasticsearch is doing in that regard is to ensure that their AI, the AI model, whatever model they are using, is always in check and always um, accurate. But if in your own case you're not leveraging some of these third party tools, you want to also ensure that you are always retraining your model periodically to keep it operational and safe from data quality, and also safe from bias feedback, and not always returning false positive um, back to your system, right? So the in conclusion, right, security is not just the DevSecOps or DevOps engineer concern. But if security is everybody's concern, from the QA to the product manager to the developer to the DevOps engineers himself, and to also the security engineer in the environment. So security is everybody's concern. And AI is a tool that is also coming up to assist us to move faster, right? So we can leverage some of these tools to secure our environment, do some intelligent analysis for us, and provide feedback. And with those feedbacks that are being provided, we can make an informed decision, or I even allow the AI to make an informed decision and carry out some operation, right? So the new norm is self-healing pipeline, right? Your pipeline wants to detect an issue, right? And then perform any form of remediation, and detect any form of vulnerability or attack, then that attack, then we respond in real time, right? And it's not every time, right? We have to, because until that AI, we've gotten to AI that we've gotten to that level where we can say, okay, we want to leave almost everything for AI. But for now, we are not leaving everything off for AI. We still want to have a human excuse me, we do want to have human in the loop to ensure that we are not 100% rely on AI feedback, right? Well, excuse me. So we want to have human in the loop to ensure that we are not just relying with AI feedback. In as much that we still want a self-healing pipeline, right? We also still want to have human in the middle to ensure that what the feedback AI is providing are accurate and good to go. Yeah, I think before I say thank you, I would love to take questions if there are any.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you very much for this awesome session, Abdulrahman. Of course, sure, we do have one question from Mental Health Insight. And his question is revolving around, if I am building my CI/CD pipeline on GitHub Actions, right? How do I integrate some of these AI tools you mentioned into it?
Okay, yeah. Come in. Let me share my screen. So I have come in. I want to share my screen. So I have a voice. Okay, I'm trying to share my screen. Okay, okay, yeah. So for example, this this is an example of code. What is it called? Git, GitHub action, right? So in this pipeline, the
It's showing a white screen. I think it's not fully loaded.
oh,
Maybe let me remove it and try to add it again. It's just showing a white screen. Maybe you can try to stop sharing and share again.
okay, yeah, I'm sharing again.
Okay.
So can you see my screen now?
Okay. I see a reflection of us. So are you
Okay, yeah,
sharing something else?
yeah.
Okay, good.
So, so on this pipeline, this is a Git action pipeline, just a simple pipeline, right? On this pipeline, what the pipeline is actually doing is trying to use AI to review the code and also do some code scanning, right? So, and they are leveraging on Codacy, right? Codacy, and not just it's not just Codacy, other um, AI, other tools as the way they um, you can integrate some of them. You can integrate with any of your um, CI/CD pipeline of your choice, GitHub, Jenkins, GitLab, whatever tool you want to use, Cycle CI, whatever tool you want to use as your CI/CD. So they have a way where you can integrate them. Just one or two line. For example, I think some even use some command. You just need to call some command or even install some CLI tool that you run, and then the CLI tool automatically does the code check, does the code review, whatever tool, whatever check you want to run, scanning, right? If you want to scan for supply chain scanning, generate your software bill of material, that is SBOM. So this tool has a way. It's not a one way fits all. It depends on the tool you want to leverage on. And if you read their documentation, they will clearly state how you can use it for any of the CI/CD pipeline. They will even tell you, okay, for XYZ language, Golang, Python, whatever language, if it's this is how you integrate it. If it's that, is how you integrate it. So they have that documentation, and they have guide online that you can also follow to leverage on this tool.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Nicole, do you want to read the second question?
Okay. Let me see. I can see. Is it a good practice to use AI to create your CI/CD pipeline? And what are the major challenges of always doing this? I think that's a very good
Hmm.
question.
Well, that's a very interesting question, but you need to know what you are doing before you start using AI to create five coding. Let me use the word five coding, because um, AI might not put in some security checks in place while trying to auto generate um, your CI/CD pipeline. Yeah, I can prompt um, ChatGPT that, okay, help generate GitHub action pipeline to deploy to ECS. And if you don't know what you are doing, and AI has provided you with feedback where you are supposed to pass in your AWS secret key and access key and secret key, right? You know, you are supposed to store them on Git action, um, Git action secret, or even read it from an external source like secret, right? But AI is giving you a plain text, asking you to replace with your secret key, replace with your access key. Then you go on and replace that in plain text, right? One, you expose that secret, right? I can easily pick your access key and secret key and then making use of your AWS account without you knowing, right? So you want to be sure of what you are doing, right? AI is your assistant. You can tell her to quickly generate it for you, but you also have to be in there to check and ensure that you are not leaving any hole in your pipeline, because that security starts from your pipeline. Before you even deploy it, from each stage in your pipeline, that security checks starts from there, right? As you are leveraging AI to create all this the pipeline for you, you are also leveraging your human thinking to read through the results and then make adjustments where necessary, right? So AI can also be wrong.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that. So right now I see we no longer have questions. So like I said, it's been an awesome session, Abdulrahman, and we also got some nice feedback there from Sadiq Zuba, yeah, and also from Adedoyin Adeyemi. Oh, yeah, that's one of our hosts here.
Hi.
All right. Yeah, and also we got some feedback also from Ifeatu Oshegbo, right? So thank you so much for delivering this awesome session, Abdulrahman. I think it was nice having you on stage today. So thank you so much. And also the guy who asked the last question is also saying thank you so much. Yes, mental health. Maybe it would be nice to probably use your ID so we know who is actually speaking. But I mean,
Thank,
like
thank
I
you.
said, I think it was an awesome, awesome, awesome session. All right. Thank you very much, Abdul Rahman.
Thank you everyone for having me here. It's nice having me on stage today. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye bye. Nico. So yes, we've come to the end of the sessions
Mhm.
for
Yes,
today.
we have.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
What are your thoughts regarding the sessions for today?
I think it was very beautiful. I think take home of the trade off of how to use your AWS AI, latency, the cost, how to select the AI to use for your business case, the bedrock of the guidelines, of things that you need to input so that your AI does not infringe on privacy rights and all of that. It's very, very important. Learned a lot of, the integrating of your CI/CD pipeline with AI tool. It's very, very beautiful. Learned a lot of things, and I'm really, really keen to, going to implement all of this, in my own day-to-day activities at work. And I'm sure other people too have learned one or two things, and would like to practice this, even as someone that is just starting out probably in the AI space would also want to practice this too. Something very, very wonderful that will help us even as DevOps engineers, SREs or cloud. Or what do you think, Promise?
Yeah, I think they were really, really amazing sessions, really, really amazing sessions for today.
Mm-hmm,
And we
mm-hmm,
still
mm-hmm.
got people also commenting. Thanks to Basirat Karim, who is saying that all three sessions were really, really awesome and insightful. And the mental health guy was also saying share your LinkedIn profile. So for any of the speakers' profile, just go search them up on LinkedIn. For the current speaker that just spoke on the session, you could actually just search on his profile, search for Abdulrahman Jimoh, and you will be able to get his profile on LinkedIn. Here's his page as well. So just for the speakers, just go on LinkedIn, search for their names, and you will be able to see them as well. Right. And also, if you're asking regarding Aya Nico's LinkedIn profiles, you can also search on LinkedIn for Promise Uche Unwachku and also for Liko Adeyemi as well. And as you guys know, we are having the physical session for tomorrow, and it promises to be
Yes,
awesome. We have lots of
beautiful.
amazing, amazing packs, gifts, for
Goodies
everyone.
for
We
you,
have
vouchers.
credit cards. In fact, those who won the hackathon, the results will be announced,
Yeah,
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Also, for those who are going to be taking the laptop prizes, the results will be announced tomorrow. So lots of really goodies, we've packaged for tomorrow. And trust me, you don't want to
Don't miss
miss
out.
out on
You don't
the
want to miss out at all.
what are those things, Nicole? Those things that all the sponsors share. They call them a particular name. I've forgotten.
Souvenirs now.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
souvenirs,
souvenirs
exactly. So
for
you
you
don't want
guys.
to miss out on the souvenirs. We have awesome souvenirs
Mm-hmm.
from AWS and from some of our awesome sponsors for this particular AWS Community Day. So I encourage you, if you have not registered, ensure to register and
Save your
ensure to
spot.
be on time for the
Mm-hmm.
event. Yes, ensure to be on
Mm-hmm.
time for the event. Who knows? There may be a gift for the first 200 people to come in. Who knows, right? We don't know,
Or for
right?
the first
So
50 people. So don't be
ensure
thinking
to
that
be there
this is 200, I'll
on
wait a bit.
time.
No. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ensure to be there on time. That's what I would generally advise.
Yeah.
Okay, to round up this session, I would also do a quick intro. My name is Promise Uche Umachku. I'm one of the leaders for the AWS User Group West Africa, and I've been hosting this show with my co-host.
Nicole Adeyemi. I'm also
Awesome.
a cloud DevOps engineer. Nice to meet you guys. I hope you guys had a wonderful session and I hope they were impactful and insightful. So do not forget to join us tomorrow at Zone Tech Park with the AWS Community Day West Africa.
Yes. So the session is happening at Zone Tech Park.
Mm-hmm.
Like I advised, be there on time. You don't
Mm-hmm.
know what package has been given for first come, first serve days, right? So you really don't want to miss um such package, right? I think at this point in time, it will be okay for us to say bye bye, right? And see you on the physical session for tomorrow at the
Mm-hmm.
Zone Tech Park, right? If you can
Mm-hmm.
be there as early as 8, that would be nice. 9 is also fine, but try and be there on time.
Okay.
All right, guys, at this point in time, I'd like to say bye bye. Thank you all.